Hello, all of you professional gamers out there in the world. I am Mega Amster, and welcome to... I haven't done one of these edited videos in a while, but you know what? I've been watching a lot of Game of the Year videos in the last few days, just being on holiday break and having the time to watch these long discussions that I wanted to get in on the action myself a little bit. I actually did tweet out a top 3, I think like last week, for Games of the Year for 2021, but it's changed a little bit since then, and now, I decided to make it a top 5 instead. And just to be fair, these are my top 5 favorite games. I'm not saying they're the best games of the year. Might as well, let's go through the disclaimers right now, okay? I have not played a lot of games that came out this year. Most of the games I've bought this year were games that were from previous years and on sale, so they don't count any of those games. Like, for example, if this was games I played this year, then Doom Eternal would totally be up on the list, but that game came out last year. But, like, essentially, this is going to be focusing on games that came out this year that I have played. There's a lot I haven't played. I will say right now, all 5 of these are Nintendo Switch games. I just got the Series X a month ago, so I haven't had much of a chance to play games on that platform. Although, shoutouts to Forza Horizon 5. I've only put about an hour into it, but that's a fun one. Halo Infinite, I only played the first level of the campaign, so I really have not gotten far in that at all. But shoutouts to Forza Horizon 5, that's a great one. I am not including any cross-platform games that originally came out last year, the year before, previously, essentially. So Crash Bandicoot 4 is not on this list. I also don't want to talk about Activision, but I would have considered it, but because it came out on, PlayStation 4 October of last year, and it came out on Switch, and I think the Series X and PlayStation 5, like, April or something of this year, I'm not counting that, though. That's not allowed. However, and you can fight me on this. I don't care. This is my list at the end of the day. I am including games that may have come out in a region in a previous year, except for where I'm based in the U.S. If it came out in the U.S. this year, I am considering that for that list, and that is going to factor into one of the games later on. You will see about that. See if you can guess it before I get to it. But I am including games that, even if they came out in regions exclusively in previous years, besides the U.S., I'm counting them if they came out this year in the U.S. So that is kind of that rule that I'm going with there. Like I said, they're all Switch games. Luckily, I have them all physically, which is great. I definitely got more into physical games this year. But let's start off the list with number 5, which I actually just finished streaming recently, and that is Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. Now, I've never played a Monkey Ball game prior to this. I've always been meaning to try out the series. I just didn't really have a good way to. I've known of II and Monkey Ball for years. I mean, the first time I ever encountered II, I'm pretty sure was in Sonic Riders. II was one of the secret unlockable Sega characters, along with Knights and Ooh La La from Space Channel 5, I believe. And there was one of the it was one of the last stages you unlocked had a bit of it was inspired by multiple Sega franchises, and part of it was Monkey Ball. And I was always curious to see what it was about. I knew the general concept. You're a monkey, you roll around in a ball, very physics based. And, I'm finally glad I got to try it out this year. I was streaming it. However, for those of you who have watched my streaming series know I got very, very frustrated with this game. For the most part, I think the levels are very well designed, and a lot of them are very good challenges to overcome. But some of the levels were just so deflating. Like, it really hurt to try to complete some of these stages. And you can see, if you go back and watch any of my live stream archives, especially from the story mode, or even some of the challenge modes that I did from Monkey Ball 1 and 2, I had a really tough time. It really aggravated me and frustrated me because I really wanted to love this game, but overall I think I just liked it. I like all the extra Sega characters in there, especially Beat from Jet Set Radio and Kiryu from Yakuza are in there, and we've got Sonic and Tails, of course. You can play as a Sega Dreamcast. That's why it made the top 5, but overall it was a pretty solid game. I liked there's a lot of content in it, and for the price it was pretty worth it. It's just some of the levels just really, really frustrated me, and I understand that's because I'm a new player, but at the same time, it's just, I don't know, as a result, it frustrated me a little bit. Really, really cool concept, really fun game, and I might try out some future Monkey Ball games because of this, so really fun game. That is number 5. Number 4 is also a franchise that is brand new to me this year, and that, this would have been perfect to play in the background of Monkey Ball, whatever. That is, number 4, Monster Hunter Rise. So I had not played a Monster Hunter game prior to this. I mean, it always just seemed too complicated to me. I want to say I tried the demo of, like, Generations Ultimate or one of those games on the 3DS, and what I really did not like about that demo, especially, was that it felt very sluggish, and also it's just because of the limitations of the 3DS. Every time you wanted to move through a subsection, like you have your overworld map, and there's each subsection, if you will, is labeled with a different number. Every time you wanted to cross through a different subsection, it would go through like a 20-second loading screen just to get to it, and it really broke the immersion for me. Now, I had a coworker who really likes Monster Hunter, and he was trying to get me into it. He was hyping up World and everything, and, you know, obviously Rise was coming out, and Capcom was hyping that up at the start of last year, and it came out, and originally I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do it, but then I found out that Walmart had the $10 off for the new physical Switch games. I was like, you know, I'm going to get it, screw it. And I do not regret getting this game. I will say I've only put about, what, 25 hours max, maybe even like 20 or 15 into this game. And I've not made it through story mode. I haven't gone back to it in a while. I did a few streams like in May. It was May earlier of this year. And, I will say I enjoyed it quite a bit more than that demo I tried a while ago, although I probably didn't give that demo of whatever 3DS Monster Hunter game that was. I probably didn't give it a fair enough shot, but I really did enjoy my time with this game. I really love riding the Palamutes. That made traversal so much faster, and additionally, the wire bug was super cool. If you could get the hang of it, it was a little difficult to get used to at first, but once you get used to it, you can pull off some really cool maneuvers with that thing, both for combat and just for traversing the overworld. Beautiful looking Switch game, by the way. Great environments. The combat is still a little sluggish, but I got used to it over time, and I learned to appreciate it more because the traversal methods were just so much more agile, I guess, for a lack of a better term. But really enjoyed that. Some of my favorite weapons, I did end up liking the gun lance a lot. The dual blades were fun, the sword and shield. I never tried them all, but there's, like I said, I didn't make it fully through. I think I beat like the 2-star quests for both the hub and like the main story village mode, but that's about as far as I got. I did plenty of multiplayer with my coworker, as I mentioned previously, and some other friends, and that was really fun. Multiplayer in this game is really fun. I'd say that's probably the best way to enjoy it. I never really tried too much with randos, like a few times, but not too much. But as a newcomer to Monster Hunter, I don't know if I'll try another Monster Hunter game, but I enjoyed my time quite a bit. And that's why I said number 4, because I think I enjoyed it more than Monkey Ball overall. I haven't gone back to it in a while, and I want to, though. I want to find the time to go back to it at some point, but who knows when that'll be, but I really did enjoy it a lot. Wow, this video is getting long. I gotta speed this up. Number 3 is a franchise that I've played plenty of. I did stream this game as well. There's actually only one game on here I haven't streamed at all this year. Sorry, 2021. What am I saying? It's 2022 now. I can't say this year anymore. This is one of the only games in the franchise I had yet to play, and it was a re-release, or HD re-release that came out this year. You probably already know where this is going, but that is Skyward Sword HD at number 3. This was a really fun time. This was, like I said, this was the only, like, especially 3D Zelda game I hadn't played up to this point, and I was looking for a good reason to play it. I was like, you know, it was on Wii U eShop for like $20 or whatever. Like, that's not bad. But then they announced this HD re-release, and I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, I got it for the full 60. I didn't even take advantage of the Walmart deal at that point. But I figured, you know what? Like, I'm seeing some of the quality of life features. Like, the 60 frames looks great, and it is great in this game. I can't imagine playing this game not in 60 frames per second. I can't even imagine that. But going to it, I really ended up actually liking the motion controls a lot. Even for the Switch version, I've heard mixed opinions about whether the original Wii version has better motion implementation than this game, but I enjoyed this quite a bit. There were a few moments, it's been a while, it's been several months, so I can't really think of any specific moments that irritated me, but there were a few. Sometimes the bug catching was a little iffy, but overall, like, the linearity was a little bit, that's probably my least favorite part about the game is the fact that you're revisiting the same 3 areas. That was a little bit annoying, I'm not going to lie. But especially in the third act, the second act I think was the weakest part for me. The third act, they really change up all the areas you visit, so it really feels fresh. But the second time you return to all 3 areas, it's like it was a little bit of a drag for me personally. But overall, really fun game. I ended up going after a lot of the hard pieces, not all of them, but when I was streaming, I went after a lot of them. I did all the gratitude crystals. I did a lot of that, and I think it's just because it was such a fun game. I beat the campaign, put 45 hours into it. Really fun Zelda game. I don't think it's my least favorite 3D Zelda. I think I like this a little more than Wind Waker, but it's also been a while since Wind Waker, so I gotta go back and play that. But really enjoyed my time with this game. The bird flying mechanics, that was one thing that took me a while to get used to with the Switch Joy-Con, but I got the hang of it after a little bit, and with thanks from shout out to my friend Jared, pro gamer friend, who told me how to do it properly, so that definitely helped. But overall, really fun game. Music's great. The story is probably the best in 3D Zelda. I love Zelda and Link's character interactions in this game. It's so great. Some of the best NPCs in the Zelda games. Really good Zelda game overall. If you haven't tried it, I would highly recommend it, especially if you're a big Zelda fan. I think because this starts off as kind of the origin of the Zelda franchise, I would highly recommend it to any Zelda fan. Really fun game overall. Now, remember earlier when I said that I was including games that may have come out in previous regions in previous years, but if it came out this year in the US, I would count it for this list? This is where this came into play. Now, you might not have seen this coming, if that gives you any clue. This game, Persona 5 Strikers. Now, this is the one game I haven't streamed because Atlas is apparently pretty iffy with streaming their games, but also, it's going to be super long. I'm still in the middle of playing this game. I've put about 25, 26 hours in so far, and I am hooked on this game right now. I was originally going to get it. It came out in the US February of 2021. So much earlier in 2021. That's why I included it on this list, although it came out February 2020 in Japan. It came out in the US for the first time in 2021. That's why I'm including it. If you don't like that, screw off, it's my list. But this game, this is coming from someone who has not played the original Persona 5. I've listened to all the soundtracks plenty of times, and I love the music. That obviously elevates my love for this game even more. But the characters, the character interactions, all the Phantom Thieves together are so much fun. The voice acting is great across the board. And the gameplay loop is fun. One thing that definitely, I mean, I don't really have a good way to play Persona 5 right now, but one thing that definitely would make me hesitant to even try it out is because it's a turn-based RPG. I'm not a huge turn-based RPG person myself, but this is more like an action RPG. It is developed by Koei Tecmo, the ones who worked on Hyrule Warriors and some of the other Musou games. This really isn't a Warriors game, necessarily. It has elements of it, but it is much more an action RPG. And it also has some of the life sim elements that the original Persona 5 has. Although it's pretty much a linear game. There's not too much, at least from what I can tell. Maybe it's more open than I realized. I don't know. But the gameplay is really, really solid. It's a nice balance between the life sim aspect, where you're kind of going around interacting with characters during the day, and then the action RPG, where you actually go and fight some of these enemies in the combat style. You know, it's a nice balance of those two. The story's great. They introduced some new characters here, I guess, that are new to the Persona 5 universe, and they're great. All the characters and story and the music are really what's driving this game for me. The gameplay is pretty solid. I wouldn't say it's my favorite part. There's a lot of complicated things about the gameplay in terms of like enemy weaknesses, and Joker specifically can wield multiple personas, and it can be a lot to manage, but for me personally, the story and characters and the music are really what elevates this game. That's why I'm hooked, because I want to see what happens next, how these characters grow over time. It is a great game. It hits you emotionally. There are some moments that really, really hit you. Overall, if you're really into like story-based games, and if you're like me and you love seeing character interactions and see characters grow in games, I would recommend it. It is going to be a long game. I'm probably not even halfway through it, to be honest. I'm expecting at least 50 hours, if not more. I know the original is super long, so this is probably somewhere along those lines. But I'm hooked on it right now. It's great. I'm loving it. Highly recommend it. The Switch version is pretty solid, too, although I actually did encounter a boss fight that really slowed down a lot once, like, there's too many elements going on in the game at once, so performance isn't phenomenal. And, I mean, it looks solid for a Switch game. The life sim elements especially are great in this game, but some of the action, I originally considered getting this on Steam, but I got this in a buy two get one pre-owned deal at GameStop, so I don't regret this purchase. It's really fun, really great game, and I would recommend it for anybody who loves the soundtracks, loves the character interactions. I would highly recommend it. But that leaves one more game. If you've seen any of my streams, even if you haven't, I feel like you'll probably be able to guess what this is. It's no surprise, my number one game of 2021 is Metroid Dread. Now, this game, go and watch my reaction if you haven't already when it was initially announced at E3 2021, because it's still, I go back and I think back to how I was reacting, and I felt like I was like completely out of it. I was like, there's no way this game is real. Hell, Metroid Dread, I haven't been a Metroid fan for too long, maybe like 5 years or so since I started playing a lot of the games. Maybe a little more, like maybe like 7, I don't know. It's been so long I can't even tell you, but this game has been teased. it had been rumored for almost 20 years. It was originally supposed to be a game that came out on the Nintendo DS, like almost 20 years ago. And they just, at the time, Sakamoto and the team said they couldn't realize their true potential on that system. And this presented the perfect time. Mercury Steam had just did the Metroid 2 remake, which was Samus Returns on 3DS. They said, hey, let's make it happen. And geez, did they make it happen. This game, I've gushed about this game enough as it is. This game, I don't replay games right after I beat the story too often at all. This game, I played twice in a row. I did the once for streaming, which was just on normal difficulty. Didn't go after all the items or anything. This game, after that, I replayed it in handheld mode, all of the lights off, with these headphones in. And I did hard mode, 100% completion on all the items. And this game is something else, let me tell you. This is the impossible game. This is the impossible game that you never think would ever come back. That, like, was buried in the grave and would never show up again. But Nintendo said, screw it, let's bring it up. They promoted the hell out of it. They launched the Switch OLED with it, and it paid off. I think it paid off. I think it sold pretty well. I don't know if it did, like, gangbusters, but it sold... I want to say it's the best-selling Metroid game at this point. I haven't looked into the numbers lately, so I couldn't tell you. But just the exploration... Samus feels so good to control, first of all. The movement in this game is so fluid at that 60 frame. It feels so fluid. You feel like you're constantly upgrading and just becoming more and more powerful. The cutscenes, the animation and the cutscenes are so good. You can point to this game and say that some of the music isn't too memorable. I mean, that original trailer music is just ingrained in my mind, but I will admit there really aren't too many memorable songs necessarily. However, I think the audio design more than makes up for this game. Just absolutely... The audio design is incredible in this game. I would recommend trying to fully immerse yourself in this game if you can with a good pair of headphones, in the dark, no lights, and just tuned into this one game. It's amazing. It's such an amazing experience. I had a lot of fun going after all the collectibles because the game isn't too... It's, for the most part, if you pay attention to it, it's fairly linear. Like, it's not super open like Super Metroid, but it's not as linear as Metroid Fusion. It's somewhere in between, where it nudges you in the right direction, but you can explore if you want to outside of the box. So it's nice to have that option to where you're not getting lost too often. The map system's pretty good as well, I would say, but it tends to push you in the right direction, but it's obviously open for exploration. The boss fights, for the most part, okay, there were a couple boss fights that pissed me off, but that's because I didn't get them at first. The final boss is one of the best final bosses I've done in a game in years. The final boss of this game is really good. And just the implications of it, it's so good. It's just, I'm not going to spoil anything here. If you are a fan of Metroidvanias, if you are a fan of action games, or like, I don't know, sci-fi, I guess sci-fi maybe, I don't know. If you're a Metroid fan and haven't played this, I don't know what the hell you're doing. One of my friends from high school hasn't played it because he doesn't have a Switch, and he's like, I don't know if I want to get a Switch for it. Get it, Dylan, get a Switch. Literally, this game is one of the best games I've played in the last 5 years, easily. It's up there with Sonic Mania for me as one of the best games I have played in the last, I guess I can't say 5 years. Well, I guess it came out late 2016. No, it was 2017. Shit, never mind. I lied. I'm going off on a tangent. This and Sonic Mania are two of the best games I've played in the last 5 years. This game, for a lot of, I wouldn't call myself a hardcore Metroid fan because I haven't been one for long. But for hardcore Metroid fans, this was the game that would never come out, and it finally did. And even for those, there's a lot of people I've heard who this is their first Metroid game, so the story might not make sense, but they've really enjoyed it. This game is something special. This is not a game you get very often, and it's all the better for it. It's an amazing game. I really recommend you go play this if you haven't. Why am I on the 10 Dogs Bath Time theme? Anyways, I'm literally just shuffling the Smash 4 soundtrack in the background. That is going to do for this video. Just to recap, like I said... Oh, I didn't put these in order. Crap. Number 5, Monkey Ball. Number 4, Monster Hunter Rise. Number 3, Skyward Sword HD. Number 2, Persona 5 Strikers. I'm counting it. Came out in the US this year. Fuck off. And number 1, Metroid Dread. I realize these were all Switch games. I haven't played a ton of games this year, like I said. And I just got the Series X, so hopefully maybe next year will be different. I did just buy Guardians of the Galaxy, but I haven't tried playing it yet, so I can't say for sure. We'll see. Anyways, 2021 has been kind of a weird year for gaming. I think it's a lot better than 2020. We had a lot more normal feeling games, but it's not back up to what it felt like it used to be before. But there was still a lot of great games that came out this year. You can't deny that. Look at how kind of varied the Game of the Year discourse was, right? There were so many great games this year. So many that I missed out on that I'll probably try out in future years, but we'll see. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. If you did, this is long enough. I hope you enjoyed. I don't know how often I'll make these edited video or quote-unquote edited videos. Just videos of me not streaming, because these do take time out of the day, and it's like a stuff to do. But for me personally, with my full-time schedule. But I really wanted to make this, so I felt like I would. And I want to share with all of you. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite games of 2021 are. If you agree with any of my opinions or disagree, please do let me know in the comments below. And hey, here's to 2022. Hopefully it'll be a better year. Regardless, I hope you all have a great year, and I'll see you for the next video. Take care, professional gamers. You're all awesome. See ya.